Hello students, we are going to continue the chapter force. As you can see, this is the part 4 of the chapter, and today we are going to continue with the types of forces. In the previous sessions we have talked about the types of forces, that contact force and non-contact forces, and we were talking about the types of the what contact forces. So few types we have learned, so we are going to continue that topic. Contact forces. So this one is the first one today, that muscular force. The force exerted by the muscles of our body is called muscular force. Whenever the force is applied or exerted by the muscles of our body, then that force is known as the muscular force. We exert muscular force while walking. When we walk, then we exert the muscular force. When we run, that time, when we lift anything, then we when then the muscular force is exerted. That time which force is exerted, that time muscular force is exerted. Animals exert muscular force to work, like carrying a load, plow a field, etc. So some examples are lifting a bag, kicking a football, opening a door, pushing a chair, and a horse pulling a cart. Means these are the examples of muscular forces. When the force is applied by the muscles of the body, when we do any work, then muscular force is exerted. Any work, whether we write, whether we walk, whether we run, whether we jump, whether we push anything, whether we pull anything, then in these type of things we apply the muscular force. Our muscles exert the force, that's why it is known as muscular force. So like this, the student is carrying, any boy is carrying the load in it bag, it means the boy has exerted the muscular force. Got it? Now collision force. Collision force, the contact force which comes into play when two bodies collide means when they strike with each other, then that is known as the collision force. Suppose that two objects are moving, suppose that one ball is moving from this side, one ball is moving from this side. And when they will collide, they will come here and they will collide to each other, then that time they will apply the force on each other. So that force, when that force which is exerted at the time of collision, that is known as the collision force. When the two bodies collide with each other, then whichever force is applied on each other by them, that force is known as the collision force. For example, two cars collide. When the two cars, suppose that one car from this side, one car from this side, they are coming from in the opposite direction, and at a point they will collide to each other, then they will apply the force on each other. So this force they have applied because of the collision when they collide. So this force, that time that force will be called what? Collision force. I hope that you understood very well. So when two cars collide, they exert force on each other, and the force is known as the collision force. Now friction, we'll talk about the friction. It is also a type of the contact force. The force that opposes the relative motion of two bodies is called friction. When what happens that it slows down the things by acting in the direction opposite to the motion. One thing, suppose that the ball is rolling. Any ball is rolling on the ground, and what will you notice that even we don't apply the force on that. If we don't apply the force on that, even then slowly gradually the speed of the ball decreases, and at last it stops at a particular place after traveling few distance. So what happens that here we have not applied the force, then why has it stopped? It means any force has been applied which is not visible, which means we have not applied. So which force is that? Actually that force is because of the contact. Surface contact. What happens that it is rolling on the ground, the ground is in the contact of the surface, and ground, when it moves, then some force is applied in the opposite direction because of the roughness of the surface. because of the roughness of the surface, up and down, up and down. So because of that, some force is applied on the ball, and which slows down the speed, which slows down the what speed of the ball. Okay, so it because of the roughness of the surface. Okay, when it rolls on this surface, then it applies the force. Okay, upper part of the roughness. Okay, the applies the force on the ball in the opposite direction. It slows down the ball, and this force which is applied in the opposite direction of the motion is known as friction. Is known as friction, and it occurs when the bodies are in the contact. Okay, and it always acts in the opposite direction of the what motion. If ball is moving in this direction, then friction will be acting in this direction. If ball is moving in this direction, then friction will be acting in this direction, in the opposite direction of the motion. Okay, so direction opposite to the motion. Okay, always. So friction is a contact force, and it arises due to the contact between the surface. Already I have explained these things, you will read it now. So, and this force is very useful. One thing I want to tell you here, that frictional force is, okay, friction is very important in our daily life, as we know that we can walk because of the friction. If friction will not take place, then we will what our leg will slip and we will fall down. Because of the friction only we can hold anything. When we hold, suppose that we lift a book, then friction, because of the friction only we can lift it, because between the book surface and our hand surface, it what frictional force acts. Otherwise the book will slip and we will not able to hold the book. So frictional force is very useful in our life. Now, as you can see that it is very difficult to walk on a smooth surface, because the smoothness reduces the friction. If the surface is very smooth, then friction will the frictional force will be very less, and because of that we are not able to walk properly on the smoother surfaces. Okay, so friction is very useful, and at some places it has the disadvantages also, because the friction only the sole of the shoes etc wore out. Okay, get wore out, and many means in the machinery parts also get destroyed because of the friction. So many disadvantages are there, and advantages are also there of friction. Okay, it is very important for us. Now, mechanical force. The force produced by a machine is called mechanical force. When the force is produced by the machines etc, then that is known as the mechanical force. Okay, mechanical force. Actually, a machine does not exert force by itself. It works with the help of energy. Obviously we know that any machine works when energy is supplied, and then it produces the force etc. I hope that you are understanding. So actually, a machine does not exert force by itself. It works only with the help of energy supplied by the external source, like electricity, petrol, diesel, etc. So for example, the engine of a vehicle runs with the help of fuel and moves the vehicle. For example, engine of the vehicle runs when the fuel is given in that. No, with the help of fuel only the vehicle runs, because engine runs, and because of that it moves. So what happens, that energy is supplied to the engine of the vehicle, and engine what produce the force and it moves the vehicle. Got it? So it gets the energy, machinery parts get the energy from the what external resources, and then it produce the force. Otherwise it's the machines cannot produce the force itself. The wind exerts force to move a sailboat or a windmill. Wind means wind is also used to exert the force to move a sailboat or to move a windmill. You can see this is the picture of the windmill. What happens that when wind blows, okay, then it rotates these wings, and because of that the energy is produced. So here the force is utilized here. No, now we'll talk about the non-contact forces. the forces which do not require a physical contact between the two interacting bodies. Suppose that two bodies are there and they are not in the physical contact, they are far away from there, they are not in the contact, and even then if they apply the force on each other, okay, then that type of force is known as non-contact force, because they are not in the contact and even then they are applying the force, it means non-contact force. So the force which do not require physical contact between two interacting bodies and act at a distance are called the non-contact forces. And the various kinds of non-contact forces are magnetic force, electrostatic force, and gravitational force. Many forces are there. Magnetic force, we must have played with the magnets, etc. That this is the one magnet, okay, this is the another magnet, and it is far away. Even then, they apply the force. Either they attract or they repel each other. So here, which force acts? Non-contact force. Gravitational force. Suppose that from here anything is left, then it will fall on the ground. It means ground attracts it. So ground, sorry, earth attracts the object. It means earth has applied the force on the object, even it was not in the contact of the earth, even then the force has been applied on that. So it means they are not they were not in the contact, even then the force has been applied. It means which force has acted here? Non-contact force. So many examples are there. Electrostatic force. So about this also we will learn that what is the electrostatic force. One example I am giving you that you must have done in the childhood, that you rub the pen or pencil or anything with the hair and try when we will bring that pen near the small pieces of the paper, small pieces of the paper, then that pencil or pen, anything that will attract the small papers. Here electrostatic force acts. Okay, so these are the what examples, these are the examples of non-contact forces. I hope that you understood very well. Now one by one we'll talk about these. So magnetic force. If we bring a magnet close to some iron pins, we observe that pins get attracted towards the magnet and stick to the surface. Okay, it stick to the surface. This attraction is due to the force exerted by magnet on the iron pins, although they are not in the direct contact. What happens that when we bring the magnet nearby the what iron pins, then what happens that iron pins are get what gets attracted towards the magnet, even they are not in the contact. This force exerted by a magnet is called magnetic force. So this type of force, this force which has been exerted by the magnet is known as the magnetic force. In the simple way we can say that the force exerted by a magnet is known as magnetic force. The force exerted by a magnet is called magnetic force. A magnet can exert force on another magnet or and on metals like iron, nickel, cobalt, etc. So one magnet can exert the force on another magnet as well as on the metals like iron, nickel, cobalt, etc. Also the interaction between the two magnets can either be attractive or repulsive. Okay, when two magnets will interact, okay, they will apply the force, then they can either attract towards each other, they will attract each other towards themselves, otherwise they will repel, it means they will push each other. Okay, they will push each other, and they apply the force on each other and they will push each other. This is known as the repulsion. Pushing each other is known as repulsion. So when we bring the two magnets nearby, then either they attract or repulse. And that's why it is saying that the interaction between the magnets can either be attractive or repulsive. A magnet has two poles, north pole and south pole, and its ends, like at the ends. Okay, a magnet has two poles, north pole and south pole, at the ends of the magnet. Okay, like poles of a magnet always repel each other. When like poles are brought to nearby, suppose that this is one magnet and this is another magnet. Okay, this is the north pole, this is the south pole, and this is the south pole and this is the north pole. Suppose that same pole, south pole and south pole, they are brought together, they will repel each other. South poles means same poles repel each other, but opposite poles, suppose that south north, okay, north south. So here north pole is there and here sorry, south pole is there here, and here north pole is there. It means opposite poles are there. Then in this case they will attract each other. So we have understood that like poles attract each other and unlike poles repel each other. So we have got this about the magnetic force. You will revise very well. Okay, now let's study about the electrostatic force. The force exerted by a charged body on the another charged body or uncharged body is known as the electrostatic force. When a charged body attracts another charged or uncharged body, then whatever force is applied by that charged body, okay, then that force is known as the electrostatic force. Just now I have taken the example of what small pieces of the papers. So charges can also attract or repel each other like magnets. So charges also repel or attract each other. Same charge repel each other, opposite charge attract each other. Always remember that opposite, then they will attract. Okay, same, then they will repulse. When we rub a comb or dry hair, okay, when we rub a comb on a dry hair, what happens, that electric charge develops on the surface of the comb. Whenever we rub any comb, okay, on our hair, then what happens, that the comb gets electric what charged, electrically charged. It means electric charge develops on the surface of the comb. And next, when we bring this comb near the tiny pieces of the papers, very small pieces of the papers, then they get attracted towards itself. You can see in the picture that small pieces of the that papers have got attracted towards the comb. Okay, this attraction is due to the electrostatic force exerted by the charged comb. This why happened, that it happened, this attraction is due to the electrostatic force, okay, which has been applied by the comb. Why? Because now the comb is the charged, okay, charged object, because it has got means charge has been developed on the comb because of the rub on the dry hair. So now it is the charged object, and when it has been brought nearby the object, that tiny pieces of the paper, then it has attracted them. So comb has exerted the electrostatic force here. Got it? Electrostatic force. So we have got understood that what is electrostatic force. The force exerted by a charged body on another charged or uncharged body is known as electrostatic force. Got it? So here this attraction is due to the electrostatic force exerted by the uncharged comb on the pieces of paper, even though the two of them are not in the direct contact with each other. Here also a comb and paper pieces, okay, tiny pieces of the paper and comb, they are not in the physical contact. Even then they have attracted each other because of the electrostatic force. So they were not in the contact. So that's why it is also a type of non-contact force. Now we will talk about gravitational force. Already we know about the gravitational force, no? When we throw a ball from a height, it falls towards the ground. Obviously, if we throw anything, okay, upward, then it will fall downward again and again, always. So it falls towards the ground. Similarly, when we throw a ball up in the air, it goes to the some height and then falls back towards the ground. Why does this happen? It happens because Earth attracts all the objects, all the bodies towards its center. Why does it happen? It happens because the Earth attracts all the bodies towards its center. So the attractive pull of the Earth is an example of gravitational force. This attractive pull, when the Earth pulls anything and attract anything, then this attractive pull of Earth is an example of the gravitational force or gravity. So this force which is exerted by this Earth here, okay, this pulling force is known as the gravitational force or simply gravity. Gravitational force, otherwise we can say it gravity also. In fact, all the bodies that possess mass exert this force. Means in fact all the bodies that possess mass exert this force. Hence gravitational force can be defined as the force with which any two masses or objects pull each other. What happens now, that in the universe any two masses attract each other, not only the earth and any other object. We think that only earth attracts everything towards its center. No, Actually everything attracts each other towards itself, everything. But sometimes it is maximum time it is so negligible that we can't feel it. That we also, the people also attract each other, the force is applied, the materials also like tables, chair, they attract each other towards itself, they exert the force on each other, but this is very less, the quantity of the force is very less that we can't feel. Why? Because it depends upon the mass. Okay, as the mass will be higher or greater, that much the force will be greater. And the earth has the huge mass, that's why earth exerts the what? A strong force. Okay, a strong force, and that we feel. But in the comparison of earth, our mass or books tables mass etc, it is very less, and whatever force is exerted by them, that we can't feel simply. But everything attract each other, and this type of force is known as the gravitational force. I hope that you understood that. Let me repeat once again that in fact all the bodies that possess mass exert force. Okay, and this hence gravitational force can be defined as the force with which any two masses or object pull each other. It is due to gravitational force or gravity. It is because of gravitational force or gravity that all objects either remain on the ground or always fall back on the ground. And because of this gravitational force, what happens that either and they remain on the ground, otherwise they fall on the ground. Okay, other if anything is at the heart, then it will fall on the ground. Now the gravitational force keeps us bound to the earth. The revolution of the moon and the other satellites around the earth and the motion of the planets around the sun are also due to the gravitational force. Everything, suppose that this is the earth and any means the moon is revolving around it, because of the gravitational force they are attracting each other. That's why the moon is not moving far away, because the earth attracts it. Okay, and the moon also attracts it, so they are bounded to each other. Like that every planet are bounded, okay, because of the gravitational force. Each and every planet attract each other, and they are stable in the universe. Okay, so here we have understood that around the earth and the motion of the planets around the sun are also due to the gravitational force. Unlike electrostatic and magnetic forces, gravitational force is also attractive. So it gravitational force is also attractive, means it attracts always. So we have understood till now the types of the contact forces also. So we'll continue the chapter in the next session. So you will revise, you will read the whatever topics have been taught, you will read those topics again and again. Then you will understand in a better way. So revision is must. Okay, and read the topic again and again. So all of you, bye, have a nice day.